So we are here live with the fine gentleman from the Libertarian Christian Institute. I've got Doug Stuart and Norman Horn, Dr. Norman Horn. And we're so happy to have you guys with us. So, Norm and Doug, welcome to Gamertarians. Who are you? What is LCI?
Well, LCI is the Libertarian Christian Institute, where we want to make the Christian case for a free society. We talk a lot about the relationship between Christian ideas, Christian theology, and libertarian philosophy. We seek to teach the church those sorts of ideas and spread them as far and wide as we can throughout the world. Our website's been read in almost 100 different countries over the course of the last decade, and we're happy to be a official federal 501c3, where we are a nonprofit corp, and we have a lot of great supporters out there who have helped to make what we do happen.
Awesome.
And so we're really happy to be here today and join you guys and play around with some really goofy, fun games with you.
Great. Awesome. Doug, tell us a little about Doug.
Well, let's see. I've been with LCI, well, I guess since its founding, but I've been with libertarianchristians.com since, now it's been 10 years. So Norman and I have known each other for at least a decade, and working together for the cause of liberty. We're aiming to educate and inform and equip the church to promote that free society that we all long for and we believe can achieve. So I am a filmmaker, web designer, freelancer in Pennsylvania. So been doing that for a little while, and also help run LCI.
Awesome. So what's y'all's favorite game? Could be video game or otherwise of all time.
Oh my gosh, that depends on what era that we're talking about. Yeah. And I would say that, depending on when you asked me and how old I was, I would tell you that things like, okay, well, back before we had, the dominance of the PC era, things probably Super Mario 3 was pretty great.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Although I'll have to admit, I probably spent a lot more time playing Street Fighter 2 than I would have anticipated ever doing back in the day. But that was always fun. And Super Mario Kart actually would have been back there.
Yeah.
Years later, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so TIE Fighter was like my bread and butter for quite a while. I love that game. And I'm actually kind of excited to see the new Squadrons game coming out from EA, although EA stinks to high heaven for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think that would probably cover a major part of the era. Then really enjoy Fallout and Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Those are big back in the late 90s as well for me. And then then probably entered after that into the Counter-Strike phase.
Yeah. 1.6.
Oh, dude, no, actually, I actually baited Counter-Strike back when it was still a mod.
Whoa!
Yeah, so that was
OG status.
Oh yeah, this is back when it was a Half-Life mod, right? Yeah. So, and actually, I kind of forget, Half-Life and Half-Life 2 might be, man, Half-Life 2 is so good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, over the course of years, in terms of electronic gaming, I've gone through a lot of different stuff. I've migrated a lot these days to more just stuff that I can do with friends, or things that are more I really enjoy card gaming in general.
Oh yeah.
So
Cribbage,
right now,
bridge. What do you play?
I've been a CCG player and still do that upon occasion. But I never actually really got into Magic though. But more I actually started off with bridge.
Okay.
I've played bridge for probably 25 years. or so.
Wow.
It's a big game for my family. So my family is a big gaming family.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going way too deep in history.
That's what I want. This is the good stuff.
Well, if mom is listening in, she'll be happy to hear that. No, she probably doesn't. She won't care. But no, we
Does your mom have a Twitch? That would be weird.
Yeah, I don't think she has a Twitch account yet. She might not know what it is. But we've always been a big
Twitch.
family.
It goes away about 8:00 every morning.
I was going to say my hand every once in a while. Like, all right.
That's it. But yeah, we've always been big into tabletop games.
Yeah.
It's definitely a way in which like my brother and I have bonded as children.
Yeah.
And now we enjoy playing games together online on a
Awesome.
fairly regular basis.
Very good.
So I'm like right now my online gaming habit is like Legends of Runeterra. So I really like that, and then been recently like enjoying Slay the Spire and Griftlands, which are both
I
kind of
love
card games.
those games, man. Oh my
They're
goodness.
so good, really well designed. And then of course Rocket League, because Rocket League is the best.
Yes, dude. That's what we play like every week if we're not playing retro games. And you are
do
so much
sometime.
better. Absolutely. We're gonna take it to the threes for sure. And man,
Or a
so
2v1.
yeah, right.
You
That'll
get a
work.
bot.
To give us a
That'll work.
chance.
Yeah.
So, Douglas, he's sporting the Mario Bros shirt. That's pretty OG right there. Was that like your first memory of video games, or do you have something even before that?
Let's see. Yeah, no, it was my first memory when I was a kid. My cousins got a an NES. And I remember I would like go over to their house every couple weeks and they'd let me play, and I wasn't any good, or I don't remember if I was any good. But I really enjoyed it, and eventually my parents got us one. And they got us the one. Do you remember the NES system that had the robot that would like move the
Yes!
robot?
Yeah.
That we never got to work. Like for some reason we could never get it to work. So that became just like a toy in the house.
Yeah.
And we tried and just couldn't figure it out. But it might have been had to do with the age of our television. I have no idea. Which you'd think in the 80s, the age of your television at that point wouldn't really matter.
Well, I only had 2 games that it worked with, right?
Yeah, it was
It's like Gyro something or other.
Yeah,
and,
Gyromite.
Gyromite, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah, and I
That's
remember
something.
having what it was the robot would play as the second player supporting you, and it would like move these pipes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would end up doing, because I figured out that I could just use a second controller for it, because that's all the thing did, was it just like put these things down on this other controller as it watched you play.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how it was supposed to work. And so I just decided, well, I'll just use my other hand or my toes or something to like, do this so I can play this dumb game that, my dad paid for. So
Is that
Mario
the
was my
equivalent
first-
of like hitting your hands on the trackpad for track and field? I don't know. You remember that one?
Or you do the heels and you just stand on your toes.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. That dude's flying.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Track
When
and
I was a
field.
kid, I could make that game for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Track and field, man.
My parents
Yeah.
were like, Eric's a little tubby and he likes games. What can we get for him? How about one of them there track
This game's
pads?
great. This game's great.
Yes.
This game's great. I'm so done. Oh, where's Mario?
Yeah, where's
Oh,
Mario?
yeah, that's right. But
It's
I really-
dangerous to sprint alone.
I
Yeah.
would say Mario 3, Super Mario 3, like Norman.
Okay.
Or I was killer at Tetris, the original Tetris.
All right.
And I would just play that forever and ever and ever. In fact, I think that might be the reason. Okay, so that is the winner because when my son bought a Switch last year, Tetris, the classic Tetris, was the first game I bought so that I could play on his Switch.
Yes, dude.
So
That's
I guess
awesome.
that's the real winner. I really didn't go much beyond the N64. I never actually owned a Super Nintendo. I jumped right from NES to the N64.
Whoa.
And my brother and I love playing GoldenEye 007, obviously.
Yes, dude. Yes.
That was good. I actually
You have
it's
it.
in this house. I
Yeah.
actually have it in Nintendo.
That's awesome.
And that game. So anyway, I don't even know if I can hook it up to any of my TVs anymore. But anyway, it's there. So yeah, and then beyond that, I didn't really game a whole lot. I would do like emulators on my Mac, through college and stuff, and that would be about it. And then I moved on and didn't really go back to gaming. But when my son bought a Switch, went back to Tetris and stuff. And I have to say, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just a joy to play. It's really awesome. They're really creative in how it's not just a racetrack anymore. It's very, very clever and creative. So I like doing that. So
that's awesome, man. You guys brought up so many memories. So I remember I was making I had the NES growing up. I was a little too young to play it well, but then I got Super Nintendo and fell in love with like what was US Final Fantasy II, and that was like my exposure to RPGs and storytelling through games and just reading and character development. And for a young kid, it was like, this is better than anything I've ever done. Like, it's amazing. The progression, the challenge. But then I went to my cousin's house, and I remember my journey into PC Master Race started when he showed me. They were playing Prince of Persia on an old I don't know if it was a window. It is a DOS. Is DOS back then, and you load it in, and I'm like, there's so much fluid movement in that character, and it was like, he fell on the spikes and there was blood. I was like, oh my goodness. And then the other amazing thing was they had this racing game called Vet, like Corvette, and you'd be racing, and the graphics were amazing, and all of a sudden it would stop you in the middle of the game, and it would say, enter the third word on the third paragraph of page 82 in the owner's manual. That was their method to prevent piracy. They're like, the only way you can play. No, I'm not kidding.
No way.
Google this. It's the truth. You would have to get out. You're racing, trying to win. And you'd have to get out the manual. 82, paragraph, car, enter. And then you'd be like racing again. That was because otherwise you could just pirate the thing.
Wow.
But because photocopiers didn't exist, like what the heck?
I know, right? But it's crazy. That was my first exposure as well. They were really they had a modem before anyone had a modem. They were on BBS, bulletin board system, before I even knew what America Online was. It was pretty awesome to just see what they're doing.
It's a good thing there's never going to be this mass electronic network where everyone can communicate all the time, information at lightning quick speed. This would be the perfect form of piracy. It's never going to get cracked.
And then I got online personally the first time when I went into a Babbage's, which is an old store that was in malls that sold all kinds of games and computer stuff. And they had free discs, as in floppy disks, of a service called Netcom. And signed up on Netcom. My email address was something at netcom.ix.com. And I got on with Netscape Navigator, and it's just been history since there. We were playing Netscape 3-player. Yeah, we were playing Duke Nukem 3D 3-player over a modem because we found through PC Gamer magazine there was this guy named Jay Cotton out of Vidalia, Georgia. I still remember it. $15, unlimited license, and they would simulate an IPX SPX network over your modem. And so you could have 3 players. This is like in 1994 or 5 or something, like way back in the day.
That's about right.
Yeah, incredible. And then the demo in PC Gamer magazine of Diablo 1 was just world changing. The ambience, the music, that was passing it around at school, and everyone being like, forget consoles, man. I am done. Warcraft 2, all that stuff. I was just like, I never got another console after Super Nintendo. So I've been kind of a PC gamer guy since then.
Did you say you passed around the same copy of, that you pirated the same copy of Diablo to everybody?
It was the PC Gamer magazine that Blizzard shipped a demo of Diablo 1 on.
Oh, that's
which was just up to the butcher, I believe.
Okay.
And that was it. Yeah. Pretty incredible.
Okay.
All right, so do you guys think playing games is an act of worship?
If you're 7.
Oh,
and I'm okay. I'm being really obviously facetious.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like my wife said that like the job of children is to play.
Yes.
Right. And I think it's also the job of humans to play. And so to enjoy the fruit of what other people have created for entertainment is or can be worship. Yeah.
Awesome.
certainly by just being thankful for opportunities such as that. It seems like it can qualify therein to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to look at like old stories about Christmas, and like the example of like a toy you would get at Christmas time was like a doll, a train, a cup that you throw a ball into, something like that. And like the amazing amount, the advancement of leisure that a affluent capitalist system has afforded us is just incredible. If you would go back a few generations, people would never imagine the array of entertainment that's available today. Why do you think we were designed to enjoy playing games?
There's probably a couple reasons for it, but I think that the probably the most fundamental one is that we are created to just enjoy the created order. And part of the way that we do that is by interacting with other people. And so there is a sense in which anytime that you are interacting with other people in such a way that you are deriving enjoyment from it, which could be that could just be useful working together, or creating music, which is a form of what we call music is really a way in which we work together through an ordered process to create something that we all find pleasing together. And so likewise, there's a sense in which this kind of healthy competition between us, or just the participation in accomplishing a goal together, is inherently just enjoyable. So that it makes sense that would be, that can be in a healthy way, a manner of like basically accomplishing what man was created to do in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Now, there's also plenty of ways that it can be, abused as well. I mean, so many good things in this life can be taken in bad directions, and we all know that. And so there are limitations to that, but the concept itself is a good.
Yeah. So, Rez, I got a question. Do you have one you want to ask the guys?
Yeah, I'll jump ahead and get a little more serious, I guess. But I was just thinking about the fact that I have a 14-month-old, so that was my first kid. So I'm just really just getting going on this whole having kids thing. And I was wondering, for you guys, you're both fathers, what challenges do you find in raising children as Christians in an increasingly unchristian culture?
Doug, you can take that one.
I expected you to say that. And the reason is my kids are older than Norman's, and so my kids are less sheltered and experience the increasingly unchristian world. Some of the challenges, wow, there are a lot. My wife and I grew up relatively sheltered, and we have both decided that we don't want our children to be sheltered in the same way that we were. At the same time, we also, as parents, start to realize, oh, maybe there's a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of sheltering. And that really means, the word sheltering is kind of a bad word to use in that way, but to protect, to have some sort of protection of our kids. So for instance, we don't let our kids watch rated R movies, okay? Because we want to protect them from just things that are not for them, right? We don't want them to know new words that they might not learn, even forget swear words, but just other kinds of words that it's just not part of their vocabulary, doesn't need to be. They can maintain their innocence. So that's like an obvious example. We don't let our 6-year-old watch a rated R movie. But I don't even have a 6-year-old anymore. I just picked a young age. I have an 8-year-old.
This theoretical child.
Yeah, so yeah, this theoretical young child. But we do make sure that when we let them experience things are just that are kind of pushing the boundaries of what's typically appropriate for their ages, such as watching Hamilton, which is pretty family safe. It's a PG-13 recording of a play, of a Broadway show. You know, we made sure
Hamilton. That sounds pretty
yeah, well,
adult to me. I'm not ready for that.
Well, you should watch it.
So,
It is good. It is good.
yeah, it's very good for a number of reasons, but it has some adult themes in it. You know, Hamilton does have an affair, and they deal with that in a slightly seductive but a little bit confusing for younger children kind of way. And so we talked about it. You know, we talked about what that kind of thing is all about with appropriate language, of course. And so we're gonna explain things here. But anyway, because Hamilton, if you know, the lyrics in Hamilton actually did say some explicit things that just went right over their head. So anyway, we didn't talk about that. But but to get back to the main point, yeah, it's really important that things go over their heads a lot sometimes. We talk about it. We engage them with it. My son and I, you know, for instance, like even just the Marvel films, like there's a lot of themes in the Marvel films that. One, I kind of realized 2 years ago, my 10-year-old, he didn't get it, you know, and he needed certain plot points explained, and he didn't even understand, you know, certain things, and that's fine. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so he's not even getting it yet, you know. Of course, they pick up the things you don't want him to. It's like, oh yeah, he must have missed that swear word, and then, you know, you realize later he didn't miss that swear word. But engaging with the children as much as possible is super important. I so far, my oldest is almost 13, have the luxury of being a participant in their growing up. And so at some point in the next few years, I'm going to become less and less of his life because he's going to be hanging out with friends more. He does online gaming already. He's a big Fortnite player. And he, you know, he's starting to get disenchanted by it because they're changing things in a certain way. And his divided loyalty between Epic and Apple is being challenged right now. But
I bet.
Or I should say his loyalty to both is being challenged right now and divided.
A house divided. Yeah.
Yes, right. So you know, some of his online gaming, like, I'm not a part of. Like, he would love it if I learned to play Fortnite, but like I watch him and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm so far behind. I can't do this. So anyway, that's a really long rambling answer to say engagement is sort of the part of parenting that just needs to happen. And the challenge is, I would say, sorry, I sort of gave the answer before the challenge, but the challenge is essentially keeping up. There's so much. Like when I was a kid, like keeping up for my parents meant like magazine subscription different, you know, like I got like Ski magazine. Eric, you sound like you got a gamer magazine. Like I didn't even get some of those things. That like controlling what magazons that came to the house,
right? Oh my goodness, was it like what's the postman like, gonna bring?
I remember what's the postman gonna bring, right?
Yeah, right.
Satan's messenger, as my parents.
Everything I need to filter comes in a little box on the side of the road. Good.
So yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid wanting to get into trading cards, and these trading cards were my recollection now. I don't remember it but I remember the scene. I mean, I remember the gist. I know exactly where I was sitting, arguing with my parents about how innocent these cards were. But I think they were trading cards over like Marvel or DC characters. Like it was like the superheroes in those. And there were, you know, my parents, I mean, it was a conservative Christian household here. There was a pose by one of the superheroes with their arms stretched out. And my parents were like, no, they're like trying to be like Jesus. And, you know, like it's just, they just were very uncomfortable. They didn't understand it. They were uncomfortable with it. I don't really care that they didn't let me do those. I probably cared that day and the next day, but you know, whatever, my life is fine. So, you know, so yeah, it was an easier world. It is a very different world out there when you have internet access, when your kids have internet, when, gosh darn it, parental filters on routers do not give you the kind of granular controls that you as a parent think about. Like, here's how I want to give filtering to my kids. And I got 3 kids. I got a router. They've got 3 devices. Some of them have 3 devices. Like my son has a computer, a phone, and a Switch. The Switch is really, really easy because it's just internet or no internet, and that's fine. But the other devices, and so these internet filters are kind of a hodgepodge of features that you kind of have to jumble together. So it's really tricky. I can't exactly see what he's looking on YouTube, except for the fact that I've signed into my Google account on their devices so that I can see what they see and they see what I watch. And I don't watch a lot of YouTube, but I have to be careful not to like stumble across something and all of a sudden it's in their history feed or whatever. But that's like, it's kind of weird. That's a challenge is the actual management of screens and stuff. That's a really long answer. I'll let Norman talk now.
No. Oh, I got nothing. I'm not a particularly great father to begin with, so it's like
I find that hard to believe.
How about this? You chose a great wife who's a great mother.
That's all you need right there. Man,
that's fair. That is fair. I am a very good selector of persons. So,
what okay. you came on this show? I mean,
I chose a great mother for my children.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
Dude,
no, that's sort of true. No, I also
so good. I don't even need to be around. No.
So I can just do this. So.
That's right.
Right.
That's where I said.
Where is my wife and daughter right now? I don't really know. I'm sure they're
What's going on?
And the days go by. Wow.
Yeah. No, but my kids are not old enough really for that to, my oldest is a year younger than Doug's youngest at this point, I think. Is that right?
Yep.
And even he is not really, he's since he's a special needs child, he's not really like, I mean, I don't even know what we're doing there. Like it's really hard to know what's going to happen in that respect. The biggest challenge I'd say the biggest challenge we have for us right now, frankly, is like the need to be involved in the church itself. Because in our current age of COVID, that presents kind of an added challenge. I mean, you think it's hard when, trying to raise kids in an age of COVID. Imagine having to raise special needs children in the age of COVID. It's very, very, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain how difficult it truly is. But suffice to say, like we haven't been to church in 6 months. We have to be, it's probably longer than that. It's probably been maybe 7 or 8 at this point, because of just the way things have been. And so even just trying to retrain, we already had a rough time just going to church with the kids as it was. Mm-hmm. Even early this year, we were looking at going to a different church because it was a little more conducive to the needs of our eldest. And even that was an extremely difficult challenge. So now that we have to also be concerned about the pandemic component of it all, and being sensitive to the needs of our the elder population. Like if I can't reliably work with my children in that environment, then it's very difficult to participate at all. And that's so basically we're at this moment, we're basically at home and watching our live stream of church every Sunday morning. And trying to even train the children for that is a friggin' challenge. Yeah. So, like, what are we doing? I have no idea how it's going to work. Like, I'm a professional scientist by trade, and I'm constantly using my brain to solve the most whacked out problems you can imagine. I mean, I'm even in the infection control industry right now. I have no idea how to solve this. Like this is not what you signed up for. This is not how there's no PhD you can get that'll help you in this. Right. So anyway, that's I don't know. So in other words, I have no answers for you.
Doug was talking about using technology like routers and stuff to try to filter things. I'm definitely gonna try that. My kids are young enough right now where that's not an issue. But I think I just gotta try to put as good of a head on their shoulders as possible, because I read an article the other day that there's freaking like sex work in Roblox. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah.
What?
It's insane.
What
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Roblox?
Roblox is?
No.
It's sort of like if Minecraft became a platform for multiple games.
Yeah,
right?
you make
Wouldn't
apps
that be
basically,
kind of-
right?
And you make apps within it.
Yeah.
And I'm just using it as an analogy. It has nothing to
Oh,
do-
so
Yeah.
it's like it's trying to simulate the world as a simulation hypothesis. Got it.
Okay, I think I understood what you meant. Got it.
Yeah, I mean now you have an app
Sorry.
creating apps within apps. So it's like
Sort of. But yeah, anyway, it's just ROBLOX. You can look it up.
Sorry.
You've been waiting to use a meme the whole night.
Yes.
That's so great.
Sorry.
My Eric, it's interesting you brought up Roblox. My son has been asking for TikTok for a while.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was because I some of the news feeds that come across my phone and stuff, and it's about gaming and apps and things like that for like iOS, which is
Yeah.
what he uses. He has an iPhone, and he wanted TikTok, and I had seen enough that made me a little bit I don't know about this, and that TikTok had rolled out parental filters and options in the UK, and they hadn't yet rolled out into the US. That was late last year. And then I saw an article that had to do with like predatory, pedophilic predatory stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the article headline wasn't too explicit, but I basically took a screenshot of it and sent it to my son and said, "This is why you can't have TikTok right now, that we are protecting you from." And he goes, "Okay, I get it."
Nice.
Like, and so they found other ways to sort of make their short TikTok videos and share it directly with their friends, so they can have a little bit of fun that way. But they're missing out on things because there is a lack of thoughtfulness with respect to what children are going to be into. And honestly, I think some of these app developers, maybe they do, but even giving them benefit of the doubt that they don't exactly know what the demographic of popularity is going to be.
Yeah.
And so they do things, and then all of a sudden it happens to be popular with younger tweens doing crazy stuff, and so now there's more predatory stuff.
Yeah.
So
My primary concern of letting my daughters use any kind of social media would be just how they develop in those formative years in terms of how they derive meaning as people.
and self-worth.
Yeah, self-worth, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's my, it's not just like they may see some scantily clad men or something like that or worse. I just think that they're going to get wrapped around the axle of trying to compete for fame in a digital space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting how relationships have, they change in the face of social media to a certain extent.
Mm.
In a way that, I mean, maybe things will start getting potentially better than they used to be, because now that we have, like, we can have a 4-way conversation right here with video.
Right.
Yep.
And it's a lot easier when we have this sort of interaction between us on a screen than it is if you're just like on a conference call, even.
Right.
There's that phrase that I can't remember if Neil Postman said it or if it predated him, but the medium is the message.
Mm.
And one thing that these I mean, from Luddites to reasonably thinking people ask is like, well, what is this medium training us to do? What is it? And by training, we should really think about it more in terms of economics. And I think that's something that a lot of these guys just don't get when they start critiquing technology like this, is that they're not thinking economically. So they use words like it's training us.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really what it's doing. What it's doing is that it's incentivizing us, because we're all.
Conditioning is a good word there.
No, I don't think. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's too close to the word training, because the human mind is always trying to economize on the effort that it takes to get
That's
to
right.
accomplish its goals.
Right.
And so conditioning, Doug, would be more like, your son reaches to try and touch the hot stove and you whack his hand, and you do that enough times, and eventually you're just going to go like that, and he's going to go, right? That's conditioning.
We just got a dog. I get that.
That's conditioning. But this is training us to, for instance, like, okay, if I'm on a conference call, I may be, in order to try and be, because I can't necessarily anticipate that the people I'm conversing with are going to say something next. I may hold, like, you get those awkward pauses on conference calls, right? Why is that? Because we're not really sure who's supposed to speak next because we don't have any cues
Right.
visually.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Whereas
Yeah.
even at least now, right now, I can at least take some form of cues from you guys.
Like I could lean in like this, and you see something.
Or I could go, whoa, Doug, shut up. You know,
I can just fall back and.
Yeah. Rez is clearly bored from my lecture. As I do, I like to tell my.
Longer than you, so I'll take the blame for that one.
It's all right. No, I mean, but I know Doug has heard me say this before, and Eric, you probably heard me before too say this. Like, my friends know that if you spend more than about 15 minutes with me anywhere, you're going to probably get an academic lecture on something. So, but I think I do think that that's kind of the way. Yeah, 7 minutes, right? Okay, so. But I think that's
or
really
7 lectures.
7 lectures on something.
Just kidding.
7 lectures in 7 minutes.
But like that's sort of the idea, though. I think is that we're constantly economizing around the means of communication that we're using in order to accomplish the goals that we set forth, and also to be social with one another. There's a concept in psychology called agreeableness, right? And so that we because we seek to, with our interlocutors, to be like, to have some form of like to have a conversation, we have to have some modicum of agreeableness, period. Like, or else the conversation doesn't happen. So therefore we're economizing even to meet those levels of agreeableness that are appropriate for the setting, you know, whether it's business or personal or you know, whatever it is.
Right.
So it's just interesting to see, like, in the age of Zoom, you know, God bless it. It's like there's bound to be good things and there's bound to be bad things as a result. And so, you know, being mindful of that is probably the most important thing in trying to, you know, talk to your kids in the long run about this stuff. Because, like, the amount of knowledge in the world is doubling on like a 4-year basis at this point. We're training, like, if you go to a university, you're basically training for a job that it doesn't even exist yet. You don't even know what the topic is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I spent a decade in doing chemical engineering work, but now I'm doing like weird bioscience and biomedical research. Like, all I do is learn how to solve problems. But like, my children, I don't even know what's going to exist for them.
Yeah.
I can't even.
I got a music degree, and it won't surprise you to know that I don't make any money in music. So.
This has been awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and
really
joining us.
Thank you guys for doing this.
So I really appreciate that.
Fun.
Tell us how anyone can learn more about LCI, or what are you most excited about right now LCI is working on?
Doug, you want to take it?
Yeah. Well, what we've been working on lately, and has been a project that we've been thinking about for a very long time, and that is, we are publishing a book very soon that answers a lot of questions that people have about libertarian and the intersection between Christianity and libertarianism. And so inevitably there are questions that people have. There's many good defenses of Christian libertarianism, I should say. And but that still leaves questions in people's minds. And what we want to do is we want to address at least 100 of them. We know that there are probably hundreds more that are out there in people's minds, but these are like the top 100 questions that people have asked us over the years and that keep recurring over and over and over again. Some of them are sort of easy to do. Some of them just take a little bit more crafting and analysis and just sort of explanation. So just like learning anything, there's a lot of different variety of questions. So we've actually assembled a team of writers to tackle them together. We're all pretty well good comrades. If I could borrow a terrible analogy, we're all comrades in this effort. And we're all pretty much of one mind with respect to all the questions. So that is coming out in the next couple months. We are in the final stages of editing and picking out, the cover design and doing a whole bunch of, the finishing touches, as it were. And so it's probably one of the bigger projects that we're doing this year. So we're super excited about that. So that's one item. And of course, we have our podcast that we do every single week, which, depending on what you're interested in hearing us talk about, some weeks are more exciting than others, but every week is a podcast.
And
then, of course,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and then of course, we're regularly publishing articles. We usually publish, anywhere between 1 and 3 articles a week that relate to, current events, theology, politics, libertarian theory, and all of it trying to address, Christian concerns as well about the nature of political economy. And so we do this on all the time. It's at www.libertarianchristians.com. And of course, if you go there, you won't just find stuff that's been published under the auspices of LCI, but also everything that was priorly published under the auspices of its prior incarnation, which was just libertarianchristians.com. And there's over 1,000 articles and blog posts that you can view there, as well as hundreds of podcasts as well. It's a terrific resource overall for anything and everything related to libertarianism. And
awesome.
I founded it in 2008, and it's been one of the longer running libertarian websites out there. A lot of stuff has come and gone, but there's we've continued to build this up and make it awesome. And even now we're doing some pretty crazy stuff. Doug mentioned the book. We've got a lot of other things that are on the horizons, and we're looking forward to producing more and more content for more and more people. And we invite you to come and check us out. Send us an email, join our Facebook group, take a look at our page. We do a lot of funny and silly stuff as well over at our Facebook page. Share a lot of memes and things like that, just for the fun of it. But yeah, we've been accused before at being way too intellectual at times, and so. But realistically, we're just a bunch of goofy guys and gals who love God and want to make a dent in the reality, and that dent is going to be the downfall of the state.
Awesome.
So crush it.
I love the theme this year.
Yeah.
Flourishing.
Live free and flourish.
Live free and flourish. That's awesome. Well, thanks again, you guys, so much. Would you do the honors? Sign us out, Gamertarian style.
Love the game.
Hate the state.